And welcome, everyone, back to Sports on Tap, live from Z's Cream and Bean, 2706 Boston Road in Hinckley, Ohio. It borders four cities, Hinckley, Strongsville, Brunswick, and North Royalton.
Yes, sir.
You don't do it as good as Ed, though.
I know.
Yeah.
Ed is he's just perfect when he does that.
I mean, the guy's born to pitch. Z's
That's the one thing I can actually pitch without sounding like a complete
phony.
And when I said that, he was sipping his chocolate milkshake like he was Kermit the Frog. That's none of his business.
True.
And we all have chocolate shakes except Josh, Jeffy, and these chocolate shakes are absolutely delicious.
I had vanilla earlier when you guys weren't here.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with the chocolate milkshakes here.
No, they're
Well, the milkshakes in general, I suppose.
Right, yeah.
I like the twist with the waffle cone too. I usually get, but today feeling the chocolate milkshake. Sean's over there just
Pondering.
yeah, I don't know what he's thinking about.
I'm thinking about how much I love ice cream and how much I shouldn't be eating ice cream.
I kind of want to have one of those. I need to buy one of those Zorro packs.
Yeah.
Yeah, those look
Those look phenomenal.
insane.
But if you buy those,
That sounds like a new version of Pokemon.
No.
those
No.
those pack of Oreos over there.
You do not have to catch them all. You just need to eat them all.
Yeah. And they will, and like those in my house wouldn't last through tomorrow.
Sean, let's be honest.
I
Most
mean-
of us here, they wouldn't last the car ride home.
They really wouldn't. They really wouldn't, Josh.
Well,
I'm intrigued by them.
you know what they have,
More than
and I
three
can't remember what it was called. It was the Buckeye, where they have little Buckeyes in the ice cream.
Look at
and
that,
It
little
is
Buckeyes.
absolutely amazing. I love it. I get it every time. Take it home. Sometimes it comes in
Are you
small containers.
okay? This is going down a path here. What do you do when you go home with it? Do you eat it?
No, I just
Do you light some
I
candles?
just stare
turn
at
on
it
some Kenny
usually.
G?
Just stare at it. Yeah, while Kenny G is playing in the background. All right. Anyway, let's talk a little Greater Cleveland High
Yes,
School
let's
Hockey
talk
League.
a little,
Great
little bit
segue.
more about the
Great
hockey.
segue.
I know.
Speaking of cold things, let's talk about the hockey.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. You sure you don't want to just – we can get into it a little bit?
Okay.
Oh, there it
we
is.
go. That's what this.
There it is.
There it is.
That's what the executive producer does for you.
Rob Dree eating those little Buckeyes.
It's getting cold outside as we move into high school hockey. Ed Dick wanted, he got it.
It borders four cities.
No, you can't pitch that. You can't desecrate the four cities.
That's
to
his,
Wow.
Kenny
that's his
G.
tagline.
Not happening
You
in Kenny
can't do
G,
that.
man.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
This is
We're-
not-
Oh, Kenny,
We're
take
live
me
at
away.
Z's Cream and Bean in Hinckley, Ohio.
There's some things that can be said to Kenny G. Mentioning the four cities is not one of them.
It's nothing like smooth jazz to bring in the hockey talk.
As Barron Cup happens
It's
next
just,
week.
it's as smooth as freshly Zamboni dice.
Yeah.
Imagine the kids
Have you ever
taping up
sta-
their sticks.
Have you ever-
Listen.
Yeah.
Do you think this is the music Caleb was talking about that he plays when they lose?
Oh,
Ooh,
His
boy.
music?
I'll tell you what.
I mean, ugh.
I bet you they never lose another game if they know they're going to be playing this music.
Nothing against Kenny G, but just
Yeah.
playing hockey.
Have you guys
probably.
ever skated?
no. Plenty against Kenny G. Don't qualify that.
Look at his.
There's enough. You cannot like Kenny G.
Listen, we're already going to get sued by the NFL for using Super Bowl. I don't
They
want to
got
get
more
sued
things to worry
by Kenny
about.
G either.
All right.
The big game is Sunday. If you're, if you don't know what the big game is.
Think Tom Brady gets ready to this music?
Are we allowed to say Tom Brady too, or just the quarterback from the
Yeah.
Boston,
Number-
Massachusetts team that happens to play American football? You bet to refer to him like that.
Probably.
He plays the quarterback position very well.
Okay, I'm going to fall asleep. So, Barron Cup. Rob's getting all choked
All right,
up.
so we earlier tonight we had head coach of the first place team in the Red North, the Hudson Explorers. We had Caleb Weiss on. Right now they are going over the Red North and the Red South. Top 8 teams points wise makes the Barron Cup 1 tournament, which will start next week. Hudson, for example, they are in first place in the Red North. They are 8-1. They have a total of 16 points. Right behind them is the alma mater of Coach Weiss, Shaker Heights. They are 7-2 with 14 points, and then third place, the Rocky River. They are 6-2, 12 points themselves there. I think these three teams have assured themselves a spot in a Barron Cup 1. Mentor, Kenston, Western Reserve. Within the league, they have not had the best of seasons. Mentor's 2-5. 4 points in the division. Kenston 2-6, 4 points in the division. Western Reserve, unfortunately, they are winless right now in the Red North Division. We'll see if it's their last game is against Rocky River. They previously lost to Rocky River in overtime. They did take Rocky River to overtime in their last contest, a 4-3 loss. So we'll see if Western Reserve can get off the schneid and get themselves a victory here. Going to the Red South Division, first place you get the Midview Middies. They are 7-2, 14 points. North Olmsted is 6-1-1. They are right behind with 13 points. Cleveland Heights and Strongsville are both 4-5 with 8 points. Solon 3-5 with 6 points. And then Kent Roosevelt are 1-7-1. They have 3 points. So you got Midview and North Olmsted also clinch spots in Barron Cup 1. Cleveland Heights and Strongsville and Solon, they're the ones battling for the last bit of seeds there. Actually, no, they're all in, I think, except for Solon. Solon has a little bit of work to do just to make sure they can get over Mentor and Kenston. As far as the division is concerned, Midview, North Olmsted, they're only 1 point separates them. Midview will play Strongsville. North Olmsted, we will take on Solon. They have a back-to-back against Solon at that. Wow. So Solon's going to get a pretty good look at them in the next couple of games to wrap up play in the Red Division. So we got Barron Cup 1, in a nutshell there for you guys.
Yeah, that was a great job of breaking that down. And, we were talking about goaltenders. And I think when you look at we had a chance to talk to Caleb, who's head coach at Hudson. Stroud Carr, he talked about, or Core. He has 198 saves, most in their division, 91% save rate. But the highest is Liam Sawick at Shaker Heights. He has a 93% save rate. And I think, you see with a lot of these teams, like we said, a lot of the teams near the top have solid goaltending. And really a lot of these guys are very impressive when you look at their save rates for the goaltending. So, a lot of these teams going into Barron Cup play, hopefully the defense can step up and limit their chances against some of these goaltenders.
Yeah, I think, if you look ahead to this, is pretty much the final weekend before the tournament. And, for the Barron Cup 1, and that's completely the Red Division here, it's more about jockeying for seeding. I think we could safely say that Hudson will more than likely be the 1 seed going in. Shaker Heights will probably locked up number 2. The interesting would be where, Midview, North Olmsted shake out, as well as Strongsville, Solon, because those right now are essentially tied. I'm sorry, Cleveland Heights and Strongsville tied for 6, whereas Midview and North Olmsted are tied for 3rd. So I think it's going to be interesting to see where these teams ends up. But, looking ahead and just kind of projecting, the brackets for the Barron Cup are not released until Wednesday when we'll be at the Barron Cup. So we'll actually see some of the first round games when we're there. But projecting ahead, you got to circle this and say, last year Barron Cup 1 championship was Hudson versus Shaker, and barring a team getting hot, and we're just projecting based on this. It's looking like that could be again in the Red Division, another and a potentially really great game. These are the top 2 teams in the division. If when you look at the points wise and everything like that, so you got to be excited for Barron Cup 1 in that sense, because you can have a rematch of a really great final game that was last year, where Shaker Heights ended up taking that one. So you want to see that, and especially Caleb. Coach Wise was here and very, very, very complimentary of the Shaker Heights squad, very complimentary of what they've done and how much they've continued success just as much as Hudson. So definitely something we can, look forward to in Barron Cup 1 come next week.
Yeah, and they split the season series so far. So Shaker Heights actually got them pretty good. They got them 7-1 earlier in the season, and then Hudson was able to, as Coach Weiss described, they had to overcome a 3-0 deficit for a 6-4 victory.
Yeah.
That happened back on the 22nd of January. So if we we'll be pretty lucky if we get to see round 3 of Hudson and Shaker Heights. Not the other teams notwithstanding.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun tournament next weekend for Barron Cup 1.
Yeah, and Coach Weiss of Hudson said if they're the number 1 seed, they would play Wednesday.
Yeah.
So we might have a chance to see them there. But Midview and North Olmsted, though, take nothing away from them, and we'll see what they can do in the tournament. They've had a great year so far. Midview at 7-2 but they're in the South Division, and Cleveland Heights is 4-5. We talked to Coach Babcox last year. He knows how to get it done and win, especially in tournament time. So we'll see if he can pull anything off. But Midview and North Olmsted at the top there, they were, like I said, impressive this year. And Rocky River 6-2 in league play. So we'll see what happens in the red division there.
Yeah, we'll shift over to the white division here. This will be the second. This will be Barron Cup 2. It changes up a little bit here for this for the seedings here. It's going to be the top 4 seeds in each division that actually make the tournament. It's not the overall top 8. So if you look at the brackets here, or look at the standings so far in the white North division, Avon has a stranglehold on that division. They are the division champs. They are 9-0. They have 18 points. Second place, Olmsted Falls. They are 6-3 with 12 points. Parma 5-4. They have 10 points. The Bay Rockets 5-5, 10 points. Amherst Steel 3-7 with 6 points. Westlake winless at 0-9. They have 0 points. Shifting down to the white South division. Had Coach Jim on earlier. His Chagrin Falls team is 8-0. A great turnaround from last year, just their 3rd season in existence, and they are 1 game away from winning the division championship. They are 8-0 with 16 points. They do play Benedictine this weekend. They are 6-2 and with 12 points. Notre Dame Cathedral Latin, or otherwise known as NDCL, they are 5-3 with 10 points. Orange, the Orange Lions are 4-5 with 8 points. Canfield 1-7 with 2 points, and Brecksville Broadview Heights 1-8 with 2 points. Now, so it looks like we pretty much have our standings set here. Now, the top 4 teams in the White South are pretty much confirmed. So you got Chagrin Falls, Benedictine, NDCL, and Orange. They will be moving on to Barron Cup 2. Avon, Olmsted Falls, Parma, and Bay most likely going to be moving on to Barron Cup 2. Amherst Steel, they actually only have 1 game left. So we do have our field set. It's just a matter of what the brackets are going to look like when they come out.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but once those 8 teams are selected, then they go through a seeding process, or is it 2 separate brackets?
It'll be, for example, if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to look this up. I'm trying to remember from last week. I think it was the first place team from the white will play the fourth place team from the south.
Okay.
So the north and the south, I think they intermix.
Okay. I didn't know if they just.
I need to confirm that.
Yeah, just because we want to make sure we're. But again, you look at these 8 teams again were the class of these 2 divisions all year. They took care of business, and definitely looking at the overall standings, Avon has the most points in the division with 18, and then you got Chagrin Falls with 16, and Olmsted Falls, and then Benedictine and Parma, Bay, NDCL, and Orange. That's what you want at the overall standings. However, as we see in amateur sports specifically, we see that come tournament time, the old adage is throw out the record books because you're 0-0. You have no record because it only matters in the tournament. It's moving on to the next stage. So, as much as we like to sit here and say that Avon and Chagrin Falls are the 2 teams to beat, and they probably are, but it doesn't necessarily mean a team like Orange or NDCL could come in and say, hey, we're gonna take our chances here. We're gonna go ahead and make some noise in the Barron Cup, and really take on that underdog persona. And I think the coaches that we talked to earlier tonight said that. They said this is every game is tough, and just like that you could turn around, you're down 3 goals, and now you have to grind. Now you have to press. that's what a lot of these coaches for these maybe lower seeded teams are saying. Hey guys, we're in this now. We got a shot. They have to play the same game. They have to, they have the same rink. We have to go in there. We have to do everything that we've been doing, and force them to beat us. And there's no wins given out here. You got to earn it. So I'm really, again, looking at the white Barron Cup 2. I think I think that's where I predict maybe a little bit more of surprises. I think because if you look at those teams 1 through 8, if you look at the 8 teams that made it, they're all very tough blue collar teams. They're very much, they go out and they play they play their game, and I think at any point in time you could see any one of those teams, or any 2 of those teams at the final day playing for the Barron Cup 2 championship.
Well, and Avon, they've had a successful season, and they're led by Zach Zawaricki. He has 33 points, 19 goals, and 14 assists. And then Shane Doherty, he has 21 points. So those 2 guys have had successful seasons. And, I think when you look at some of these teams, the coaches said there's, a few captains on their team that really lead the team and have important parts. And the other guys are great role players that you need, whether they're defensemen or on offense. But the goaltenders are huge in the league. And those 2 guys, though, putting up the goals and assists, obviously, they're big-time contributors, and you got to stop them at some point. And the Barron Cup, we'll see what happens. You never know what can happen.
Yeah, so I do have the brackets now. It is the first round games are going to be same division. So you'll have the 1 North will play 4 North. They will play the winner of 2 South versus 3 South. All right, so the first games, the first set of games, you're going to play your own division. And
okay.
You're guaranteed,
then it intermixes.
You're guaranteed an inter-division game for the semifinals before you get to the league finals. That is also consistent
in the blue
with blue, I believe.
Okay.
So speaking of the blue division, let's get to the breakdown of the standings in the blue division. So if we look in the blue north, the aforementioned Avon Lake, they are 10-0-1. They have 21 points. They have clinched the number 1 seed in the blue north division. Normandy, they are 8-4. The Invaders are the number 2 seed in blue north. Aurora, they are 5-5-1. They have 11 points. CVCA is also 5-5-1 with 11 points. And then you have Twinsburg right behind both of them. They are 5-6 with 10 points. So you got some very highly contested for that 3 and the 4 spots in the blue north. Bringing up the bottom, you have West Geauga. They are 2-8-1. They have 5 points. North Canton Hoover, unfortunately, is 2-9. They have 4 points. So if we take a look at what's going on for the last weekend between Aurora, CVCA, and Twinsburg. Well, Aurora's got West Geauga. So that's looking pretty good for them so far. CVCA, they will take on North Canton Hoover. A very winnable game there. And then Twinsburg, they're going to need to win and get a little bit of help. Twinsburg plays Avon Lake.
Wow.
So if you're looking at the schedule and kind of how things turned out, the scales are tipping towards Aurora and CVCA. At the very least, tying or winning their contests, and they will probably, most likely move on to Barron Cup 3 as the 3 and the 4 seeds, unless one of them lose and Twinsburg can get a victory over Avon Lake. We go to the Blue South Division. Brooklyn, as we talked about earlier, Brooklyn is undefeated. They are 9-0. They do play Garfield Heights tonight. Then Lakewood with Coach Mark, 9-2 with 18 points. That division pretty much all but clinched for Brooklyn. If they win tonight, they will be the Blue South champions. Lakewood will clinch the number 2 spot in that case. Mayfield.
An update. Brooklyn won against Garfield Heights 11-0, so they are now 10-0.
Brooklyn is 10-0. They have 20 points. They are the Blue South champions. Congratulations to the Brooklyn Hurricanes.
Nice.
I
Coach
didn't
Ryan
get
Kelber
any
out there.
breaking news music. I was a little upset.
Sorry.
I wanted to,
Sorry, he's pulling my headphones.
Kind of just went into it though.
sorry, I just wanted to make sure we had the most up-to-date information. It literally
Yes.
just came across my screen.
That's what we
Very
get.
nice.
That's what you get with us.
That's right.
Mayfield, the Wildcats are 7-4. They have 14 points. They have clinched the number 3 seed, and then it's going to be a battle between Nordonia and Elyria Catholic. They both have 5 wins. They both have 10 points. Nordonia is going to wrap up their season against Mayfield and Brush, whereas Elyria Catholic, I believe their season's already over. So all Nordonia needs to do is win or tie one of the next 2 games, and they will be the number 4 seed in Blue South, which they will take on Brooklyn in the first round. You also have the Brush Arcs. They are 1-9. They have 2 points, and then the Garfield Heights Bulldogs are 1-10. They have 2 points. So as we talked about earlier, they do have a similar setup than that of the Barron Cup 2, where the first the top 2 teams are you're going to play interdivision the first round, then you're going to play the other division in the second round.
And in looking at this division or this particular one, I kind of have to agree with Lakewood head coach Mike Faforlia.
Mark.
Terrible. But I was gonna say, when you look at the stats for Brooklyn, just from a league standpoint, that's all I'm going off on league standpoint. When you only give up in your entire league play 9 goals against, you're doing something right, and then you're a team that nobody wants to play because you're playing from the defensive end, and you're playing from a defensive mindset. So now you don't have to put up a ton of goals. You still got to score. You still got to do what you have to do on the offensive end. But if you have that kind of a defensive mindset, you're tough. You're a tough out. And I think when you look at this again, great job, Ed, going over that and breaking down what we're going to see. As much as I said Barron Cup 2 is going to kind of be the wild card, I think Barron Cup 3 with the blue division is probably going to be your more chalk of the divisions. I think Brooklyn is going to probably match up with Avon Lake, I would say, going into the Barron Cup 3 final, just because they're 2 best teams. I hope Lakewood, may catch fire and play well, but, Brooklyn just seems to be a team that's just not allowing anybody any sort of breathing room to win. And I think their defense is just allowing themselves, creating opportunities for them to score, as well as, preventing any sort of rally. I think they're a team that if you are down 1 goal, that's a pretty insurmountable lead given their defensive prowess.
Well, I think when you look at goaltending, look at Brooklyn, their goaltender, Bo Reinhardt, and he has 108 saves. He's the only goaltender for them at 92% save rate. Avon Lake has 2 goaltenders, and both have significant minutes. Cameron Strepka has 360 minutes, and Dylan Aslaskin has 131. And both, though, Aslaskin has less minutes, but 93% save rate and 90% for Strepka. So they go with both goaltenders. Now, if you're the head coach there, how tough is it going to be? Which goaltender do you start? I mean, both are very impressive, but you have 2 solid goaltenders here. So, I mean, I think it's tough really to say who you want to start there. Obviously, I think Strepka is probably the main guy there, obviously, with overwhelming amount of minutes, 144 saves on the year. But very impressive there for Avon Lake to have 2 guys you can rely on at any point in time.
I mean, you could go with the hot goalie, who's been playing well down the stretch, and maybe you want to ride that momentum going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for Avon Lake when in that goalie situation is to understand that whoever doesn't get the start, the backup needs to be ready to go, because you never know. So an injury might befall somebody. You may say, look, this goalie gives us a better chance to win in the second period. I mean, for all we know, it's a as they said, it's period by period in that sense. And you could maybe just go switch in between the 2, so that way you have the freshest goalie out there at any point in time. So definitely going to be a good storyline to watch for the Barron Cup. And again, if you're interested in high school hockey, if you want to see really good high school hockey, get out to the Brooklyn Ice Arena. Go out there and see the Barron Cup. Playoffs. It's going to start Wednesday. It starts,
and we'll be there live.
Yeah, we'll be there live Wednesday night.
Should be live.
Hopefully live,
depending on the Wi-Fi situation.
We'll be there.
We will be there. So
and
come
then,
see us.
If you want to see good high school hockey, go out there and check it out. They'll be going all the way through Sunday, right?
Yeah, real quick, clarification, Barron Cup 1, it is the top 4 seeds in each division. They're just seeded differently. They're seeded 1 through 8, though, as opposed to separating them the way that we thought they were. I got to give Joe Simon some serious credit for this media guide. This is fantastic.
And
it says literally everything you want and needed.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have read this page before I opened my mouth earlier today. But this has a great breakdown as to who makes the playoffs and how they qualify for it. It's fantastic.
And that is available on their website, correct?
Yes. I believe so. Yes, it is.
I will look that up while we're waiting.
Also want to say, thank you to our guest tonight and to Executive Director of the Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League. Again, I want to talk to him about getting less letters in that name, but it's, Joe Simon does a great job helping us out, getting great interviews.
Nice now.
Kinda.
No, Joe does a great job.
Yep.
Like you said, with interviews, he lines them up and, great communication with him. Does a great job with stats and everything with these teams' backgrounds. And, just great information to make the show what it is, and always helps, that's for sure.
And you can also follow Barron Cup coverage on neosportsinsiders.com. They will be following it with us. Their coverage is very good as well.
Correct.
And
they have all kinds of different stuff on their website as well.
Before we go, let's all give our predictions for the big game on Sunday. We're gonna start down here with Roberto.
You got to start with me.
Troutmanovich.
Well, let's put it this way. I feel like it's a pretty even match, but I think the Patriots' defense is a little more solid. I think the Patriots will win, but I think it's going to be a close game. And I will be rooting, though, for the Falcons, who haven't won in, 51 years?
They've never won one.
I thought it was
not wrong.
Oh, yeah,
but
you're right.
But they've only been around for 51 years, but they never won one.
Well, let's, I think it'd be cool to see the Atlanta Falcons pull probably one of the bigger upsets, but I'll go with the Patriots in this one.
I will go with the Falcons.
I'm going Patriots just simply for the fact I want to see that awkward moment where Goodell's got to transfer the trophy over to Tom Brady and Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick.
I am going to go Patriots.
That sounds like a question.
Close, and I think it's going to be a Steven Gostowski field goal that wins it.
Wow. All right.
Well, guys, going Falcons, huh? All right,
the Falcons.
Well, you could be the only one that's right, though, too.
Yeah, well, that never happens.
You never know. The Falcons have been playing really well. They're on a hot
and they've
streak.
surprised. They've beaten the Packers and
everyone in the NFC.
Not everybody. They didn't play the Cowboys, but.
Well, we want to also thank head coach from Hudson, Caleb Weiss, Chagrin Falls head coach Jim Revac, Lakewood head coach Mark Fafolia for joining us, and again, Joe Simon, the executive director of the league, to set it up, and great communication and getting us all our information. And Z's Cream and Bean for having us again.
Yes.
First Thursday of every month.
They do a great job.
Great stuff here. Come on up, 2706 Boston Road in Hinckley. Guys, any last thoughts?
No, sir.
Come
Get
on,
ready
say
for
hi
that
to us at
Barron
the
Cup.
Barron Cup next Wednesday. We'll be out at the Brooklyn Rec Center. Come join us. For Josh Jeffy, Ed Dick, Sean Duffy, I'm Rob Troutman saying so long from Sports on Tap. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll talk to you next time.